Hi, today I feel very inspired to talk about babies. I've got a good friend from around the corner who was due on Monday, so little bub on the way any day now, or any hour now probably. And another good friend of mine's just told me she's pregnant. And also I've just run into my midwife, like literally run. I've been out for a run and there she was on the sidewalk and I very nearly knocked her down. So really cool to see her and say hello. Yeah, and it's just inspired me to talk about when I had my babies. Don't worry, there won't be any gory details or anything like that. I've had 3 quite different experiences with all 3 babies. And I think, generally people will have different births with different babies. There's so many factors that come into play when you're having a baby. Things can go very different ways. Benji was pretty straightforward. Went into labour at 10:30 at night, but the contractions didn't really get sore until sort of around 1 in the morning. We went to the hospital, or the birthing unit, at 1:30. And he arrived at 3:30, so it was a pretty quick labour and birth, especially for a first baby. He was born, as I said, at a birthing unit, so we went out to the wonderful Pukekohe birthing unit to have him. We lived in South Auckland at that stage, and yeah, it's a cool little place. It's out in the country, like the windows all look out over fields of cows. It's quiet, it's peaceful, well, when the babies aren't crying, and it's lovely. So he was born there and it was a pretty positive experience, and yeah. And then Nathan was completely different. So Nathan was little. We knew he was little, so he was measuring a few weeks behind his dates, and then I developed high blood pressure around the 36-week mark, and I was admitted to hospital with preeclampsia. Nathan was born in hospital. I went into labour with him around, 7 o'clock at night, told the midwives on duty that I was in labour. They didn't believe me. They tried to send Thomas home, and I said, no, if he goes home he's going to miss the birth of his baby. And eventually I got them to agree to let him stay until 8:30, and if nothing had happened by 8:30, then he was to leave. Thankfully by 8:30 they believed me that I was in labour and transferred me to a birthing suite at 9 o'clock. And Nathan arrived at 9:30, so he again was pretty quick. Completely different experience. So they didn't really believe I was in labour. Even when they admitted I was, they still thought I had a long way to go. I had very little support, if any, from the team there. If I hadn't had Thomas with me, I don't actually know what I would have done. I would have been completely on my own. Well, I certainly would have felt it. So they were sticking a lure into my wrist like just minutes before Nathan was born, so had coming contractions on top of each other and pretty intense pain. I told them I needed to push, and they didn't really believe that anything was going to happen. Out came Nathan, and the midwife was writing notes at the time, and she had to just run across the room to catch him before he hit the bed. You can actually see the line on the notes. I've got a copy of the notes, and you can see how she was writing, and then zoom, she's gone, and there's just this pen line across the paper. She just had to sprint. He was born in his amniotic sac, which is quite cool. It broke as he hit the bed, and she sort of caught him. He was all bundled up in the umbilical cord, and he was tiny. Like, I can't, prem babies are born smaller than he was. But he was very little. He was 2 kilos. His head was about the size of a tennis ball, and then he had this very long, very skinny body. Just skin and bones. He was teeny tiny. Anyway, because he was little, he didn't have to go to intensive care or anything like that. He was allowed to stay with me, but we had a lot of attention from doctors and lactation consultants and the hospital midwives, and I I felt very out of control. I felt like I was simply had to follow what I was told to do, that I had no say in the decision-making process at all. So they made me give them formula, which I didn't really want to do. You know, I've got nothing against people who choose to give their babies formula. If that's the right thing for you, that's cool. But I personally wanted to feed my babies myself. Yeah, and we were in hospital for quite a while before we were allowed to come home, and I found that really hard going as well. I found his birth quite a disempowering experience. I certainly can't say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed him. He was a lovely baby. He was a real little sweetie. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to repeat that again. Which is why when I found out I was pregnant with Charlotte, there was no way I was going to hospital unless I absolutely had to. So I chose to actually have a home birth with her. I had an amazing midwife, the one that I've just run into today. She lives just a couple of streets down from me, and she agreed that, you know, as long as it was safe, she was happy to do a home birth for me. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So I woke up at 1:30 in the morning with painful contractions. I rang Lyndon at about, 5 to 2. She got here at 20 past 2, and Charlotte arrived at 2:35. So yeah, it was all pretty quick, really. Thomas was still in his pajamas, just sitting on the bed. And yeah, I had Charlotte on the floor. I had a little sort of nest made up with some nice comfy towels and blankets and things, and she was born in this cozy little nest. And yeah, we were all snuggled up together in bed, sort of, you know, within an hour of her being born, and it was lovely. That, in comparison to Nathan's, was a very empowering experience. I felt completely in control the whole time. You know, we don't live that far from the hospital because of Nathan's condition. We're quite handy to the hospital. I knew that if I needed to get there, I could get there within 10 minutes, either by our car or by ambulance. So I really felt that there was very little risk in having her at home. Even if we'd lived a bit further out, I still would have very strongly considered it. I just think that for me, it was by far the best way to do things. Yeah, as I say, I was in control. It was really calm, it was really peaceful. You know, I had great continuity of care, of course, because I had my own midwife and Thomas here with me the whole time, you know, and afterwards as well for hours and hours. And you know, it was also really cool when my little boys woke up, they came in and met their new baby sister. And yeah, that was a pretty special sort of moment. They came in and jumped into our bed and met her and gave her a kiss and a cuddle, and then off they went and played with their toys. So it was a really calm and nice experience for them as well. I totally get that home birth's not for everyone, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that everyone should go and do it. It was definitely the right thing for me, and it's my personal belief that a woman should give birth wherever she feels the safest. If that's in hospital, go to hospital. If that's a birthing unit, go to a birthing unit. If it's at home, give it a go, you know. Majority of midwives out there are amazing and know exactly what they're doing, and they will get you off to the hospital at the first sign of any danger. Yeah, but it's a very personal decision, and it's one that only you can make. So yeah, anyway, that's my little spiel. Those all about my babies and my experiences, and yeah, I hope you've all had a good day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.